So if you don't mind Mel being a backup reader, one of the stories, and I can do one. I think we're live, so welcome everyone to Stories for Hope, Healing, and Belonging. How does that sound to you, Mel?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Angela.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back. Long time no see.
I know. I feel like a gerbil in a cage. Running, and not getting anywhere.
Oh no, I'm sure you're getting plenty of places. It just feels like it because you're sitting still.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, we're live on Facebook.
We're live.
Welcoming everyone here.
And I don't see.
We're expecting another member from CRRC today.
We are. I'm just making sure that I sent her the information.
Okay. And meanwhile, we've got some backup readers ready to go as well if we need to.
Good. Okay. Well, I mean, why don't we get started and you can have one of our backup readers start us off. And then if Crystal gets a chance to join us, then she can read the next one.
All right. So would you like me to read one, Mel, or would you like to do Rainboy?
No, I'm good. You can read. I'm happy to just participate in discussion afterwards.
You can read there, Hannah.
Okay, I'll do the first one. So I'm just going to share my screen with everyone here. I think actually we'll start with You Matter. I was thinking I like to start with the shorter one in case there are some younger audience members who aren't going to stick here the whole time. So we'll start with You Matter.
Cool.
And to share my screen. Okay.
Yay.
Oops, I always click the wrong button. Present. There we are. You Matter by Christian Robinson.
Oh.
The small stuff, too small to see. Those who swim with the tide and those who don't. The first to go and the last. You matter. When everyone thinks you're a pest, when it's just out of reach, when everyone is too busy to help, you matter. If you fall down, if you have to start all over again, even if you are really gassy, you matter. Sometimes home is far away. Sometimes someone loves you, says goodbye. Sometimes you feel lost and alone, but you matter. Old and young, the first to go and the last. The small stuff, too small to see. You matter. The end.
I like that.
All right.
Next.
So the next story. And Mel, would you like to do the honors with this one?
Sure thing.
Thank you. Okay, there we go.
Rainboy by Dylan Glenn. Once there was a rainboy. Rainboy was not popular around the sandbox, or the monkey bars, or the soccer field. Because, of course, when Rainboy was around, it rained. Sun Kid was another story. Sun Kid was new. She was from somewhere on the other side of the planet. Sun Kid was the talk of the playground. She was popular at barbecues, at tea parties, and at the beach. Because when Sun was around, it was sunny. Her birthday was smack dab in the middle of summer, and her parents decided to throw her a big sleepover surprise party. The whole class was coming. Rainboy had never been to a birthday party before. He might never go to one again. That wasn't the surprise anyone had planned. Oh no, he's getting everything wet, cried Olive. The cake is melting, shouted Star. The presents are ruined. Soon everybody was yelling, rain, rain, go away. Just then, Sun came down the stairs. Cut it out! Stop yelling at him. Sun was ashamed of her friends. She ran back up to her room and slammed the door. The room was silent, but Rainboy still heard the words. They looped over and over in his head. Rain, rain, go away. And so he did. A storm began to brew. Rainboy didn't come back to school. Neither did Sun Kid. The kids said he must have kidnapped her. It didn't matter what Miss Pax told them. A day turned into weeks, into months of rain. People learned to live with wetness. They stayed inside and drank hot cocoa. Their flowers bloomed and their grass turned greener. They noticed they were talking to each other a lot more. One by one, The neighborhood kids stepped out of their house and into the streets. They came out and lay in the rain. In the wet wonderland, flowers and trees were more vibrant. Beautiful reflections shimmered and stretched across streets. The kids skipped and stomped through puddles. One morning, Rainboy took a deep breath and peeked outside. With a big sigh, he stormed a little less hard. The thunder and lightning stopped, only rain now. Looking at the disheveled town, Rainboy felt really tired. Sun could hear the rain get softer on her roof. She peeked out of her covers and through the clouds. Rainboy, look! It was the first time Rainboy felt that people actually liked having him around. Rainboy puffed up with pride. He decided it was time to be brave. Play was better together. So the next time you're feeling down and your world is dark and grey, just look up. The end.
Woohoo.
Thank you, Mel. What a beautiful story again. I just love this time together to see these lovely, lovely stories.
This is the first time I got to hear Mel read. When you first started reading, I thought somebody had put on an audio recording. Your voice is meant for this kind of storytelling.
Oh, thank you. Don't make me blush.
It's very true.
I'm
We're
blushing.
very lucky to have had Mel join us.
Absolutely.
So what did people think?
I really enjoyed that last book, The Rainboy. The illustrations, the watercolors are beautiful, aren't they? And I thought it was very, yeah, just beautiful, beautiful stories. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, and I see Yvonne here saying, is Rainboy a metaphor for our current times? I was thinking the same thing, Yvonne, as we're all, you know, spending more time in our houses and starting to realize, you know, the connections that that builds as well. We certainly saw that when we came back from closure in childcare. We were closed from March until sometime in July, and then we started to slowly reopen. And the stories that were emerging as children came back to childcare, all of their play was centered around families. And so you just saw that, you know, that was their whole world for what probably felt like a very long time, especially for children.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I thought as well when it said, you know, we finally had time to talk to each other. And then you realize that, you know, being outside is good at any time, right? And we've kind of we had stepped away from that for a while. So it's like the universe has been telling us and guiding us in what we need to do to reconnect, right? We need reconnect with the people that we love, reconnect with the land that we all depend on, and yeah, no, I just love that. And it's interesting also how it was, you know, the rain go away thing. I mean, I'm sure from all of our childhood we've sung that song, right? And to me, it also is how some of the different ways that folks are made to feel uncomfortable because they're not what people want or want to hear at any given time. So like the rain, right? Rain, go away. We don't want you now, but we need you. Right. And to me, that's kind of again, kind of connecting to the, you know, all the issues around diversity and inclusion. We need you, right? Sometimes we don't know how to navigate that, but we need you. And it's just like the rain.
Yeah, and the rain and the sun create the balance, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, and we often like to say at Compass, and especially in our Timber Nut programs, that there's no bad weather, there's only bad clothing.
Mhm.
So I think that would apply to
Mhm.
that concept to this as well. Like rain doesn't have to be a negative thing, even if you're outside playing. It actually can really supplement play, and it creates really fun puddles and things for children to explore their senses.
Yeah, and you have to find different ways of enjoying it, right? And you know, I used to say that whenever we would go camping for an extended period of time, I would I would feel like I was being ripped off if there wasn't at least one day of rain, right? Sitting under, you know, with your warm snugglies on, having your cup of cocoa, you know, sitting under a tarp or something to stay dry, and it's a totally different experience. Aside from the wetness, everything else is the same, right? But it's just how we experience it and how we feel comfortable in it. And I think that's, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and the noise of the rain too, right?
Love
That's
it.
something you would really miss if you didn't have that experience of listening to the noise of rain on a tent or on a tarp.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I
how,
also,
yeah, go ahead.
the other thing that I also thought was interesting around the first book, You Matter, and there was one page on there that kind of reminded me of the movie Happy Feet. You see the Happy Feet where the one little krill decides to go in its own direction, and then at the end, because of that, he makes a big impact on the whole world as it existed at that point, right? But it reminded me of that, and I really like the way the repetition, right? Talking about different things, and then you matter, and you matter, and you matter, and I think that's also something that we can learn, is that, you know, there's things that maybe we don't say often enough to one another, and that we do need to reinforce that with folks that we care about.
Absolutely. I really love too how that book went to the really, really small and then back to the really big, and to just kind of remind you that there are days when you're going to feel like that little insect under a microscope. Um, so I think that's a really good message there, Angela, that we sometimes need to remind each other that no matter how small we might feel, we're an integral part of the ecosystem that we're within.
Yeah.
Both books really speak to the just speak to that, don't they? That how everyone and everything is connected, and that you can't, um, as much as the rain is, sometimes we just don't want it, you know, and we can't cut it off because we actually need it. And I think that as humans and as people, we need this diversity in all of us, if we're going to really shine and really thrive. That it's that connectedness and that appreciation for the difference and for all of us. I think both books spoke lovely to that.
Yeah, that's what makes the world a beautiful place. How boring would it be if it was all one thing, all sun all the time? I mean, yeah, to use that example of the metaphor of that, like everything would die on earth without that rain.
Yeah. Yvonne's reminding us of the first book was The Water Walkers, and we're ending off the year with Rainboy. Yes. So appropriate.
It all really does come back to water. Without water, we don't have any life.
Ah, oh, what were some of your favorites this year?
Mm.
Everything's a blur to me.
I had so many favorites. I have a really hard time coming up with just one, but
Yeah.
I really loved the one about what was it called? The child who had the different like spikes and different things each day.
Oh, yes. I can't remember what was the title of that, but I do remember that book. Yeah.
Oh, From the Stars in the Sky to the Fish in the Sea. I think that was it. I loved that book.
Yeah. So many. I think for me, I mean, you hit it, right? There's so many different favorite things about each of the books that we've read this year. Different favorite things, different kind of ideas that came out of them. I do, really kind of reflecting on what Yvonne has input about the water, right? Just that kind of that ongoing theme about water and the importance of water and our place and kind of how we interact with it. Something to think about for sure.
Anybody else have a favorite story they want to remind us of? We can go back and look at again, maybe. Yvonne says Solway. Yes, about the little girl who learned about her beautiful skin. That was a beautiful story.
That was lovely.
Mm-hmm. I saw that, I think there's a movie or something coming out about that book. I just saw something and I posted it on our Stories of Hope, Healing, and Belonging. I think that was it. And Don't Touch My Hair. Yes, maybe that was the one. But anyway, that was a great one. We actually bought a few copies of that book to share throughout our organization. It's a really good one and a great, very important message for everyone to understand. Don't touch my hair unless I give you permission.
It's so funny about that because I mean in the workshops that I've been doing lately, talk about the microaggressions and that is one of the microaggressions and people kind of really struggle with that and I don't understand why, but anyways. And there was a great comeback that somebody had written, is that when people go to reach for her hair, she automatically goes to reach for their hair as well, kind of creating a teaching moment of, of of what it feels like and why it's not appropriate to invade somebody's space like that.
So this is a good question. I'm curious to know if you think children's books are good tools for diversity training with adults. So we're starting this at Compass this coming year, is we're using it as a dual purpose. So part of it is to kind of reinforce our commitment to understanding diversity, equity, and inclusivity more as an organization. So through our pedagogical leads, they're going to each have a copy of several of the books that we've shared. And we're hoping to have a conversation with adults. And then we're also going to be sharing it with children. And so learning from both of those experiences and then reflecting back together. So I'm hoping we can do some of those conversations here during the story time with all of you to support us in our thinking. But yeah, what do you think, Mel and Angela?
I think this books are, when you think of books as mirrors and windows and reflecting children and children's experiences, it is a fantastic way to talk to children and to talk to each other. And I think I know that when I read a children's book, there's so much, I think it's just in the simplicity of it and that it's the celebration. And I think children's books celebrate the diversity. And that is, whereas books for older people, they can go more in depth, but a little bit more negative. Whereas children's books, they tend to be more celebratory. And I think that is so it sheds that light on the books and on a topic or on an issue. And I think that makes it more accessible to talk about when you see something immediately being shown in a very positive light. And I think that allows people to access it and talk about it more. So I think I learn an awful lot from children's books, that maybe things that it reminds you of who you are and of people. And then it allows you then to talk, to think more deeply about it and to read. But I think the children's stories, the power that they have, I think that it stirs a lot of conversation for grown-ups, for adults. And I think it also can make you stop to question maybe your biases. And I think the books, they're powerful in that way, that they can bring that up through.
And I really think that they are a good tool for adults learning this stuff as well, because it's like learning at so many different levels, right? So we're reading it to children in the hopes that they will get those good messages around celebrating diversity and all of that. At the same time as we're reading it as an adult, we're formulating thoughts and opinions about what that looks like. And then the feedback from the children that we're reading these stories to is also a part of that learning, right? So it's like, all round learning going on from all different perspectives and point of view. So, and absolutely, I agree with you, Mel, about it being accessible, right? Is that there's plenty of academic, research and dialogue around issues of diversity and inclusion, but sometimes we just need to bring it down and simply just say what it is and just talk about it in a way that everybody can kind of understand and be able to formulate opinions and express viewpoints, right?
And I think it's a good opening. So like you said, Mel, it's an accessible way of starting a conversation. So maybe you're exposed to an idea or a belief or, something that you hadn't thought of before. And so it's kind of an entryway into learning more. So for me, like my hope would be that it doesn't stop there,
No.
but it's like opening up a conversation and a world which we can then go in and explore in further depth as an adult.
And
Absolutely.
The strength as well with the children's books is that it's the conversations that you have, from the story, like throughout as you're reading the story or after the story. And I think it's very enlightening to hear children's feedback and what children's ideas and their take on the story and what stood out for them, and then how that can create conversation. So I think the books, the storytelling, it's a lovely time together to spend and to look at the pictures and read the story, but it's the conversation afterwards, and then how that can just be woven into the culture of your room and understanding and learning. And I think that is a power that the books really hold for children and for everyone in the room.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Yvonne, or anyone else? Anyone have any other reflections?
I think this is really good information. There's so much, that's come, and I think Angela referred to that, that's academic, that's written in language that's inaccessible to some people to grasp those concepts. And I think making that small leap, with a smaller amount of material that's in a children's book, disarming people a little bit and getting them to consider it, from a slightly more innocent perspective, really opens up discussion. Wouldn't it be interesting to develop that curriculum around children's books and diversity training? Hey, Angela?
Oh, you've already got me thinking about that, Yvonne,
Good. And we have with that folder all the books that we've read so far.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And I hope we continue to share, the resources as we kind of go forward.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking about as we were talking, and the fact that, this Christmas is going to be different in terms of people not being able to be in person, right? But I mean, we've shown how, doing online book readings can lead to, wonderful, deep conversation. So I wonder if there's any kind of diversity inclusion books that are seasonal that, because I'm thinking maybe a new tradition in the Connors household.
I don't know of any. Hannah and Mel?
I'm gonna take a look around and see what I can find.
Yeah, not off the top of my head, but that's a really good one. Maybe we need to write the book.
Maybe. Ooh, wouldn't that be something?
Hmm.
Ooh, now my wheels are spinning. People, you can't be giving me new ideas because that means more work.
Well, I have a friend who's a beautiful illustrator, and she just actually did a children's book as part of her master's thesis. So maybe I'll ask her if she'll come on and be a guest reader and
Yes.
present her book to us at some point in the new year.
Ooh, yes, yes,
And
yes.
she can inspire us all.
And did we figure out when we're starting up in January?
We haven't yet. I think that this group here will meet, and so we'll share our information on our Facebook page. So for anyone who's watching, just check the Facebook page early in the new year, and we'll have a new schedule of dates and times, and we'll have a new bunch of books to share.
Yay.
So thank you, everyone. Thanks to all the partners who made this possible. Thanks to all of the viewers who tune in. We really appreciate everyone coming together.
And our viewers can suggest books too,
Absolutely.
right? If there's something that we haven't read and you'd like to get read and have a discussion about, let us know.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a nice
Thanks,
holiday
everybody.
season.
Yes. Enjoy your time off. I'm hoping everybody gets some time off. We need a rest.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.